And let's pray that family prayer that Jesus taught us together. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us.
Before I start out, what event is happening this Sunday?
Super Bowl.
That was very quick, and it came from a woman. Did you hear that, man?
Trained her well, didn't I?
Super Bowl. Well, I have a story I'd like to tell you, but I want you to tell me the religious significance of this story. And there is one, I think. There was this man who, after wanting to attend the Super Bowl all his life, he was finally able to obtain a ticket. He traveled almost a day to go to that stadium, where he finally had the chance to actually watch the game. Once he got into the stadium, though, he started to search for his seat. Unfortunately, as he got closer to his seat, he went higher and higher and higher in the stadium. And when he finally found his seat, he was 2 rows from the very top of that stadium. He was so far away from the field, he had to use his binoculars to see the field. As he was scoping out the field before the game with his binoculars, he noticed there was an empty seat right on the 50-yard line in the very first row. As people began filling up the stadium, he noticed that seat was still empty. Just 5 minutes before kickoff, he put his binoculars and he looked down again, and that seat, the 50-yard line, first row, was still empty. He said to himself, surely the person who would be in that seat would have been here by now. So he rationalized in his mind, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So he got out of his seat, and he ran as fast as he could down those stairs to the stadium, all the way down, 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 to the first row at the 50-yard line. And he sat down in that seat. And there's a man sitting next to him. And he turned to that man, huffing and puffing, and said, I can't believe this person here who has a seat is not here to watch the Super Bowl, the biggest football game of the year. Actually, the person sitting next to this man who just ran down there said, that seat was always occupied by my wife. We've been attending the Super Bowl together for the past 15 years and have had these same seats every year because we're such football fans. Then the new occupant of the seat asked, well, why isn't she here with you today? The man replied, my wife just died. This is the first time we haven't seen the Super Bowl together. I'm so sorry, the man said. I had no idea. But then he was a little curious and he said, well, why didn't you at least invite some of your family members or friends to take this seat? The man replied, they're all attending the funeral. What is the religious significance of the Super Bowl story?
You're treasured where your heart is at.
Yeah, we can buy that. You're treasured where your heart is at.
Somebody passed up a good free ticket.
What's that?
Somebody passed up a good free ticket.
Someone passed up a free good ticket. Again.
Priorities.
Priorities. There you go. What's your priorities in life? You know, give us short examples. What have some of you done for your homework assignment last week?
Well, I ran into what is Bob? Anyway, he used to go to your class last time, and I was telling him about your class this time and how much we were learning going the second time around. And he said he was going to be here, so I guess I got to call him up and remind him. But other than that, this morning at Mass, we ran across a couple ladies who were traveling through from Idaho. And so anyway, they walked out with some brochures, especially this one on I like to do the Catholic Mass, to give to anybody who is not familiar with the Mass, especially people going in the first time, and it tells what's in a Catholic church. It's a real simple thing, and I brought a couple of them if somebody would like to pick them up, but I gave them a set of these, and hopefully they'll get it started in their church, because we've had some people come back and tell us and say these things are really wonderful.
When we give them to priests, like we have up in Walla Walla,
Down to one.
they bring them, and we've got letters from them saying, we want to put those in our church, and so thank you for bringing them, and we're going to make sure sure they're stocked. They're good.
Well, I've got 2 homework assignments I'd like to report to you on. The first one, you probably see this thing over here. We are going international. She's going to be trying to put this on the internet. So I don't know how this is all going to work, but she's trying to put some Catholic apologetics on the internet. So if you see her flashing this thing around here, that's what's going to go on. We're giving it a try. So the second one, I just wanted to let you know something I ran into this week, and I want to run it by you. And since you're apologists now, I want to get your feed on this. Last Sunday, I went to an evangelical church in town, and the sermon was very interesting. And really, the sermon kind of related to what we're doing in this class. And I thought it was just kind of fascinating that this all came to be. And the pastor was talking about values. What's a value?
What something is worth.
Okay, something that's of worth.
Important,
Something that's very important.
meaningful.
Well, that's what he's talking about. He's talked about setting the values for this particular congregation. And they're in the process, the board and the pastor are in the process of setting values, what this church stands for. And he made a comment. And the reason why they're very concerned about establishing values for this church is he said, people out there that are church shopping, our title of our course, he says they are attracted to a church that has similar values as they do. So they're trying to set values for their church that are going to be appealing to people out there looking for a church. Okay? We've already started talking about our class. What would you have to say about that statement? The church wants to set values so that people out there with similar values can be drawn to that church. And let's face it, we're all attracted to areas that are similar to us. Is it right for a person to go out there looking for a church that has the same values as you do, the same interests?
Wouldn't do you any good, would it?
But again, think of it. Think about it in our story. There's these people that weren't even a Christian. And all of a sudden now they're a little baby Christian. They know a little bit about the faith. Are they qualified to know which church has the right values? You know, they're just baby Christians. They don't know a lot about the faith. So what are they going to go there? For good music? For a dynamic pastor? For good children's ministries? Again, those are wonderful things in a church, and we hope and pray that our church has those things, but that's secondary. The most important thing that should lead you to a church is truth. They're looking for all these wonderful things that make them feel good, that they like. But the truth trumps everything. You have to look for a church that teaches the truth, and these other components are secondary. Then you can work on those things.
On EWTN, they had a gentleman who had turned Catholic. He was a preacher, and he said ran a mega church, and he said essentially they had people out in the congregation who listened to what people were saying, and they adjusted their service to do what the majority wanted.
Oh yeah, I read.
But it should be based on truth first, then meeting the needs.
Sounds like
His sermon, he did a wonderful sermon on values and how, we need to all have values and search for values and all that. But when we left and got in the car, and I said to my wife, I said, he could have given that sermon in a Mormon church. And the Mormon church members would have loved that sermon because it was good. Anyone could agree to what he said. It's truth that is the main component.